Greetings, people of Earth. I'm Jonathan L. Segal, the creator of Space Vacation the Musical, the sci-fi musical comedy for the whole family, and you're listening to the instrumental track for The Universe is Like a Song. Space Vacation's a story, a show, an album, and a podcast. You can hear all 22 songs at www.spacevacationthemusical.com. In episode 3 of the podcast, I read chapters 4, 5, and 6, in which the family visits a beach on the planet Segal, and Haon has a secret mystical meeting with boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, skip bomb, 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 sabam de boo bab de bee bab de boop, who tells Haon that sometime on the trip, Haon is going to actually meet his own grown-up self. Then the family visits the cheese canyons of Umbilicus, where Haon manages to get kidnapped by very hungry giant rats. But everything works out for the best. In this episode, which is episode 4, I will be reading Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Space travel was reasonably quiet. Well, it wasn't quiet enough to hear a pin drop, but that was because in space, pins float. However, if you switched on the artificial gravity, you could hear a pin drop, if you had a pin. On this particular night, the Illimath's van flew through space relatively pin-free, except for perhaps the pins in the first aid kit. It was always a good idea to carry a first aid kit when you were flying through areas of deep space that didn't contain too many gas stations or diners. Not that this was a dangerous area, but it's just common sense, don't you think? On this night, Elo was asleep in her bunk. A couple of bunks up, Enoj snored, but not too horribly loud. Lorak sat in the pilot's seat flying the ship. Haon sat next to her, sipping hot chocolate. This is something like earthly hot chocolate, but instead of being chocolate-based, it's chalk-based, and it uses a lot, so consequently it is referred to as hot chocolate. I find word origins fascinating, don't you? Haon was wearing his bathrobe over his pajamas, and he wore furry slippers which had horrible, monstrous faces on them. He did love those slippers. "Mom," he said quietly, "how long is it going to take us to get to Shirley?" "Oh, just overnight, honey." "Are you going to drive all night?" "No, I'll take a shift for a few hours and then your dad'll get up and drive." "Good, I don't want you to fall asleep while you're driving." "Well, we both agree on that." "Can I put on the radio?" "Sure, but not too loud, okay? They're sleeping and you should be too." "I can't, I'm too excited." Then he switched on the radio. They heard bright, cheery music in the background, and then a commercial announcer telling them about the place that they were going to visit. Vacationers! You've seen romantic Arcturus' beautiful phlegm, ridden the domes of Salaperga, or been to the cheese canyons of Umbilicus, but there's one special spot that you can't afford to miss. Not all the bargains we're going to tell you about now. Yes, it's Shirley the Shopping Planet! For all those wonderful things that you want to bring home to your quadrant. Things like tectonic plates that really bump against each other at the dinner table with real seismic action, yet won't mess up the place. Only $17.95 on Shirley. This week, liquid mercury bulletin boards, the kind that Grandpa used to use. Keep yourself organized and have fun at the same time with these lovely high-gloss imitation liquid mercury bulletin boards. This week on Shirley the Shopping Planet. Duty-free, only $11.96.95, and where else but on Shirley would you find the latest in antique, Blardigian, lymph, dynasty, battle gear, lasers, masers, phasers, tasers, razors, we've got them all. Not available to citizens of Bork. Bring the kids! Shirley the Shopping Planet has 73 quintillion square miles of shopping. It's the largest mall of them all. Come for the day or stay at the lovely Drinian Motel, with daycare available for the kids if you don't want to bring them on your fabulous spree. If you are within the sound of my voice, and obviously you are, you're within a quick sprint to Shirley, so come visit Shirley the Shopping Planet. exit 9 on Route 3 in the lovely Fluvian sector. Have you been to Shirley yet? Surely, go to Shirley.
Shirley the Shopping Planet.
Suddenly, Haon turned off the radio. Hey, Mom? What is it, honey? She answered. The guy on the radio said, exit 9 on Route 3 in the Fluvian sector. That's right. But we're not in the Fluvian sector, are we? Lorak started to frown seriously as she realized the implications of this. The Fluvian sector? We were told the Antediluvian sector. Check the map. Haon reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the wrinkled, old, folded-up map. At first, he was a bit confused about which way to turn it, but soon had it figured out. Mom, he's right. Shirley is in the Fluvian sector. Oh no, we're way off course. We've been going the wrong way for hours. Well, how come we picked up the radio signals out here? Said Haon. That commercial could be years old, Haon. It could have been floating through space at the speed of light for the longest time. Put the radio back on a moment. Try another station. Haon turned the dial on the radio. The sound was rather staccato. This time they heard a news announcer. And in the news, the Blaudigians broke their 35-second-long ceasefire with the 13th Provisional Government. Minister Fig could not be reached for a comment as he was fishing in parts unknown. Lorak was so upset that she positively hit the steering wheel with her hand. Turn it off. That's from 20 years ago. We're at least 20 light years out of our way. We must have gone through a cosmic sewer system. Now they heard an absolutely unearthly noise. It was the sound of Mr. Enoch Illimath waking up and stretching. He always yawned horribly loud and embarrassed Lorak. It sounded something like, the middle high note was the worst part about it. What's all the noise? Said Enoch, even though, let's face it, he was the real noise. We're lost, Dad. No one's ever going to find us. Maybe just our bones. Oh, is that all? Said Enoch, half yawning, but less horribly. Enoch, we are lost, said Lorak miserably. We were told the Antediluvian sector, and we're supposed to be in the Fluvian sector. Hey, Mom and Dad, interrupted Haon. The readouts look awfully funny. The lubricash lamp must be on the blink. I should have never rented this van, said Enoch, jumping off the bunk and coming over to the dashboard. Honey, said Lorak, it's not the van, it's the sector we're in. Antediluvian energy systems are unpredictable. As if the ship were listening to their conversation, the lights flickered and then went completely out. It was seriously dark. Yipes, shouted Enoch. Put on the emergency power. He was not happy. Then Elo woke up. What's happening, Mommy? Can you imagine waking up in the total darkness and silence of space and not knowing where you are and what's going on? I can't find the light switch in the dark, said Enoch. It's okay, Elo. It really wasn't okay. I got it, said Haon. But it's not working, he added. A little bit of a panicky, claustrophobic mood was ruining what should have been a nice, quiet night in transit. Then the sound of a match being struck was heard. Enoch's face glowed eerily in the dark as he held the match carefully. As he walked, they all saw what appeared to be his disembodied head floating around the ship. Lorak, did we pack the candles? Yes, I'll get them. She fumbled in the gloom and found them. She and Enoch proceeded to light 6 candles and place them around the ship. The ghostly shadows danced on the walls. It was ghostly and yet cozy. A look of determination came over Enoch. The engine's out. First we have to get the emergency power going, then I'll have to go outside and fix the nucleon antenna. That's our main power source, and I'm sure it just needs to be demagnetized. How do you fix the emergency power, Dad? Asked Haon. Enoch took a candle, bent down, and opened a panel in the dashboard. The others held candles near him to help him see. Just as I thought, it's just a loose wire. He tightened the wire and the emergency lights went on. They were a much dimmer system, but they changed everyone's mood for the better. Yay, Daddy! Cried Elo. Woo, said Lorak. Okay, yelled Haon. Now listen, everybody, Enoch reminded them solemnly. We're just drifting, and we're drifting in the wrong direction. Enoch put on his spacesuit. Honey, you man the intercom system while I'm out there. This shouldn't take long. Kids, you be good and help Mommy. Okay, Daddy, we'll help, Elo volunteered. Enoch, be careful, said Lorak. We're not in a well-traveled area. Nothing's going to happen, Lorak. I'm just going to demagnetize the antenna. It's really not a big deal. Do you have enough air? I checked the air packs myself. You know me. I checked them 86 times. They're okay. Well, be careful anyway. With that, she hugged him tightly. Enoch stepped through a sliding door into the hatch area. He pushed the decompression switch, and the air in the hatch area was sucked out. He then opened the hatch door into the impenetrable darkness of space. Using short bursts from his jetpack, he maneuvered to the front of the ship till he saw the nucleon antenna. In his nervousness about walking in space, he had neglected to attach a lifeline to the ship. He was floating free. It's beautiful out here. I can't believe it, he shouted into his helmet microphone. His heart was beating fast from the incredible sensation of freedom he felt. It was exhilarating and frightening at the same time. He reached into his suit pouch and pulled out a little nucleon demagnetizer. Demagnetizing a nucleon antenna was not very different from demagnetizing your old earthly electronics. He simply held the machine over the antenna and ran it down the length of the antenna. This process was simple and was sure to cure their engine problem. Oh yeah, he said. It's so full of negative ions that we're lucky we got this far. Oh yeah, it's going to be much better. Enoch was unaware of what was happening directly behind him as he faced the ship, and I hope that you won't be too frightened when I tell you. A band of 5 Antediluvian Hemidemisemiquavers were floating right at him. And though Hemidemisemiquaver does not exactly translate as eighth note in the musical terminology, eighth notes are what they look like. Looked like living eighth notes with arms and heads and legs. They also wore berets and sunglasses. Part of their bodies looked like musical instruments. Each one was different. One looked like it was part trumpet, another seemed to be part saxophone. The others looked like guitar, bass guitar, and drums. Quavers come in many musical instrument shapes, although they all resemble eighth notes. Quavers are an interesting species. They form families based on whatever instruments they need to put a band together. They float around the antediluvian sector, and here is what they do. They play music with their bodies, and they make you dance. They dance you to death. Bass player Quaver started to lay down a funky groove on its body bass. It was going to toy with its human prey before rendering him completely helpless. Enoch had just finished demagnetizing when he felt the music grab him.
Help!
What is it? What's happening?
Something attacking me! Oh, my ears!
I'm coming out there. Haon, I've got to get to Daddy.
I'm coming too!
No, stay here and take care of your sister.
But Mom!
No buts. Do as I say.
Mommy! Daddy!
With her suit on, she stepped through the sliding door, decompressed the hatch area, and exited the ship.
I've got to go out there! I'm going too! Hurry! But then what'll happen when we get out there? I don't know, but we'll think of something.
Once the drummer started playing, Enoch started to involuntary breakdance in space.
I can't stop dancing!
As Laura floated over to him, she too was caught by the Quaver music.
Dad, Mom, we'll save you!
Kids, get away quickly!
And then Haon had an incredible idea.
My teacher, Mr. Asophoboon, always says to fight fire with fire. Sing 100 chords, Elo. What? Sing 100 chords.
And so they started to sing the song they always sang on their family trips. That cute little song that drove parents crazy all over the bright yellow planet. That song that endless camp counselors had taught endless campers. The song that seemed to go on forever. They sang.
100 chords being chased by electrons on the edge of a titanium atom. Nothing's happening.
And by now the kids were lined up next to their parents, dancing the Kazatsky.
They can't hear us because there's no air in space. Our kind of sound can't travel. I have air right here your second tank to exhaust and your helmet to external convection.
They moved the switches on their extra tanks so that oxygen sprayed out of the tanks toward the quavers. They sang loud and clear in the direction of the quavers. The spray carried their sound, and the quavers heard the cute little awful song.
100 quarks being chased by electrons on the edge of a titanium atom. They got out on the road with a magnetic overload. Now there's 99 quarks as atomic substratum. 99 quarks being chased by electrons on the edge of a
Now
titanium
Lorak and
atom.
Enoch saw what was happening. They started to spray oxygen too and began to sing along. The four Illimaths were upsetting the quavers' natural instinct. Then the quavers completely stopped playing and started to listen more carefully. Gradually, weird quaver smiles appeared on their weird quaver faces. Their quaver eyebrows above their quaver sunglasses went up, and then they started to play along with 100 quarks. The Illimaths were freed of the deadly dance music. As the quavers kept playing the song, the family jetted back to the hatch and got in.
95 quarks being chased by electrons on the edge of a titanium atom. They got out on the road with a magnetic overload. Now there's 94 quarks as atomic substratum.
As their ship sped off into the night toward Shirley The Shopping Planet, Haon looked out the window. He could still see the quavers furiously playing 100 quarks and having just a wonderful time. So ends podcast episode 4 of Space Vacation, the sci-fi musical comedy for the whole family. Book lyrics and music by Jonathan L. Segal. All instruments played digitally by Jonathan and recorded on Logic Pro in my little backroom studio. The singers were recorded by Chip Fabrizi at PPI Studios in New York. I used 4 wonderful singer-actors. Keegan Gullidge played Haon, Lucia Long played Elo, Nick Gasworth played Enoch, and Lauren Reese played Lorak. All 4 of them also played all the other character voices on the album. And don't forget, you can hear all the songs on the album anytime you like at spacevacationthemusical.com. Space Vacation is a family show. It's for kids. It's for parents. It's for grandparents. Please share it with all generations. Space Vacation is looking for a smart producer to stage it or film it. Please let us know if you know that person. Please subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll get to work on episode 5. And remember, the universe is like a song.
Chicka bum bum bum, chicka chicka chicka, chuck 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 chuck. The universe is like a song, song. Chicka boom, chicka bum bum bum, chicka chicka chicka, chuck 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 chuck. The universe is like a song.
Haon, you do what your teacher says tomorrow. I don't want you getting lost in an oxygen atom.
Okay, Dad.
Does Miss Flanasilks use the buddy system when your class is walking in the street?
Mom, she's an amoeba. She splits in half. She's her own buddy system.
How very sensible.
It takes 2 teachers to watch you, dork brain. My teacher may be an amoeba, but you're a germ. Mommy, he said I'm a germ.
Well, are you?